Hello everyone for today's webinar about how to file a tax return in Luxembourg and save on taxes. My name is Patrick Malger. I'm co-founder of TaxX. TaxX exists since 2018 and helps everyone here in Luxembourg to file their tax return in the most easiest way. So what's on the menu today? We will see at first why it's important or interesting to file a tax return in Luxembourg. We will see why your spouse may be taxed with a 15% flat rate on her or his monthly salary. We will see what deductions you can claim for on the tax return to save on taxes. We will see what documents are needed. And at the end, we will see how you can file your tax return in a very easy way. Let's start with taxation Luxembourg. So how does it work? Basically, there are two steps. So the first one is the withholded tax by your employer. So basically, the employer is taking the taxes from your salary each month and is paying it in your name to the Luxembourg state. Then at the end of the year or after the year after, basically, you can do a tax return for the tax year. And basically with the tax return, you are asking regularization of the withholding tax. So you can claim some taxes back, or you may have to pay some more taxes. So in Luxembourg, it's not mandatory for everyone to file a tax return. For whom is it mandatory? This list is not exhaustive, but it's the most important ones. So basically, if your taxable income is above 100K, then a tax return is mandatory in your situation. The same if you're married and you have two different incomes, and if the total of those incomes are higher than 36,000 euros. If you are a non-resident married couple, so a cross-border worker with a fixed tax rate, then you also have to file a tax return. And also, if you have any income that is not taxed at source in Luxembourg, like for example, a rental income, then you also have to file a tax return. So even if it's not mandatory, why can it make sense? Filing a tax return can actually make you save on taxes. You will see this in a few minutes. You also have to know that nearly half of all the taxpayers do not file a tax return, even if they could so, and therefore they don't receive any tax refund. A few examples. On the left side, a single person without children with a gross monthly salary of 4K. By deducting on the tax return, which is not mandatory in this case, because basically she's far beneath 100K per year. So, but by doing a tax return and by deducting, for example, a car insurance, a health insurance, some contributions to a home savings plan, and house cleaning fees, this person could get a refund of more or less 2,000 euros. The same for a couple with two children that is in a registered partnership. It's not mandatory to do a tax return in that situation, but if they do so, and if they are deducting different expenses on the tax return, this couple could get back 4,470 euros in taxes. A little bit more technical, how is your tax rate determined? Basically in Luxembourg, we have a progressive tax rate system with tax rates from 0 to 42%. On top of this, there will be an additional 7 or 9% based on your level of income, and this surcharge will be paid into the unemployment fund. So basically, if one day you would be unemployed, you will get some money from the Luxembourg state, and this unemployment fund is financing this money. Let's have an example. Let's have a look at an example. So a single having a taxable income of 50,000 euros. So how are the taxes determined for this income? So the first 11,000 euros of this income is taxed at 0%. So you don't pay taxes on the first 11,265 euros that you are earning. On the next euros you are earning, so from 11,265 to 13,137, so on this amount, the 1,872 euros, you will pay 8% of taxes, and so on. So basically, for every tax bracket, the tax rate will increase. So this example, taxable income of 50K, he will be here in this last tax bracket, so from 45,897 to 50,000. So on those 4,103 euros, he will be taxed at 39%. So you'll have to pay 1,600 euros on this tax bracket. So at the end, you just need to sum up all the taxes you have to pay per bracket. You have to add the unemployment fund contribution of 7%. So in total, this person has to pay 9,743 euros in taxes. So the average tax rate here is 19%. So the total of taxes divided by the taxable income. So 19% have to be paid on the 15,000 euros taxable income. The last euro, so every additional euro, basically above 45,897, will be taxed at 39% plus the 7% unemployment fund. So on the last euros this person is earning, he will pay 41.73%. This one is important to have better understanding of how tax optimization can make you save taxes. We are coming to this in a second. Let's come to the most, one of the most asked questions here in Luxembourg. That's at least my impression. So why is my spouse taxed at 15% flat rate each month? Let's maybe start with an example to explain why married couples or couples in a registered partnership are better off than two singles. So on the left side, you can see a couple that is not married, not in a partnership, in a registered partnership, what is called PAX in Luxembourg. So first person is earning 100K per year, second person 0. Maybe the second person is studying or stays with the kids. So the taxable income for them is 100K, and the person number one would have to pay 13,608 euros in taxes. If this couple would be married or in a registered partnership, then they can do the tax return together. They will be in tax class 2, and thanks to this tax class 2, they would only have to pay 19,487 euros in taxes. So just by being married or in a registered partnership, they would save around 11,000 euros in taxes per year. Another example, the two persons are working. One is earning 100K, the other 40K. If they wouldn't be married nor in a partnership, then they would be considered in tax class 1, like two singles. And in total, they would have to pay around 36,470 euros in taxes. Being married or in a registered partnership, they would already get an allowance of, so basically a deduction of 4,500 euros because both of them are working, and tax class 2 will be applied. And at the end, the total tax due would only be 34,302 euros. So only by being married or in a partnership, they would save around 2,169 euros per year. So now the 15%. How it comes that one of the spouses will be taxed with a flat rate of 15% each month. Basically, our tax system in Luxembourg is quite old. It's from the 50s, the 60s, and at that time, men went at work, women stood at home. Fortunately, that's no longer the case. Now both are working, but the tax system has not adapted to this situation. So what happens is that one of the spouses will be in tax class 2 on the monthly salary. So basically, the employer is calculating based on the tax brackets how much taxes this person has to pay and will withhold it. And the other person will be taxed with a flat rate of 15%. Let's see. Let's come back to the example we have seen just a few minutes ago. So married couple, one person earning 100K, the other 40K. Total taxable income is 135,500. Tax class 2 will be applied, and they have a total tax due of 34,300 euros. So basically, that's the taxes they have to pay for an entire year being a married couple. Now, as I mentioned, person 1 is tax class 2 on the monthly salary. So the withholded tax for person 1 will be around 19,487 euros, and the person 2, there will be this flat rate of 15% applied, so 6,000 euros. So the total of withholded tax on both salaries will be 25,487 euros. However, as we just mentioned, total tax due is 34,300 euros. So what happens after doing the tax return? The tax administration will ask you to pay an additional 8,815 euros. So this is very often happening the first year when marrying, for example, or the first tax return, or the first arriving in Luxembourg and you're doing the first tax return. So don't be surprised that there will be additional taxes due at the end of the year. What happens then? So after filing the tax return, tax administration will ask you to pay the 8,815 already, and they will also ask you by then to pay quarterly advances of 2,200 euros. So every 3 months, basically, they ask you to pay 2,200. Why 2,200? But to avoid that at the end of the year, you owe them again 8,800 and a few. This is totally normal. However, still, you are better off paying by doing a tax return together than doing it individually, as you have seen in the few examples before. On TaxX.eu, we have an article about this with other examples, so you just can connect to TaxX.eu. There we have an article section, and there you can find also an article about this. So we talked already about paying taxes, but it's more interesting to talk about how to save on taxes. Saving on taxes is quite easy. You can deduct different expenses on your tax return, and this will make you save on taxes. And the tax savings are depending on your revenue level. An example on the left side, a single with a gross monthly salary of 3,000 euros, tax gain would be around 21%. So basically, 21%, it's a marginal tax rate we have seen in tax brackets. A single earning 3,000 euros gross per month is saving around 21% out of every deduction. However, a person with 12,000 euros gross monthly salary will save 43% of every deduction. So basically, if this person is deducting 1,000 euros on the tax return, he will save around 430 euros in taxes. Basically, the more you earn, the more you can save on taxes. It's not a very social system, but it's basically how it works. So what are the deductions you can apply on the tax return? Basically, we have three main categories. The first is called special expenses. There you can find interest on private loans, insurance premiums, contributions to private pension plans or home savings plans. Then we have what is called allowances. It's, for example, cost of childcare or domestic help, but also extraordinary expenses. And real estate is another category where you can, for example, deduct mortgage interests, but also notary fees and bank charges for opening a new mortgage. We will see this in a minute with a few more examples. Let's start with the first category. So interests on loans and insurance premiums. For every deduction, there's a maximum deductible limit. Here in this category, the maximum deductible limit, it's 672 euros per family member living in the household. So, for example, father, mother, and with 2 kids, they could deduct here a maximum of 2,688 euros. And by doing so, with a taxable income of 120k, they could save 1,120 euros in taxes. So what is deductible here? On one hand, we have interest expenses on loans, for example, consumer loans, personal loans, a loan for a car, for example. But you also have a credit card interest, if you have any, or overdraft fees on your bank accounts. On the insurance side, insurance premiums that cover humans are deductible. So, for example, for your car insurance, there's only the civil liability part of that insurance. That's the mandatory insurance you need for a car in Luxembourg that is deductible. If you have a full damage insurance, that one won't be deductible here. Then you can also deduct life insurance or private healthcare insurance in this category. For every deduction on the tax return, you need certificates. So basically, you have to prove to tax administration that you had those expenses. Living in Luxembourg, being a customer of a Luxembourg insurance company or Luxembourg bank makes it very easy, because those banks and insurance companies, they will provide you with the right certificate for your tax return. So basically, they will give you a certificate where they mention exactly how much you can deduct. So just ask your insurance company or your bank. Normally, you can download those on your web banking or on the website of your insurance company. Second category of deductions is a private pension plan. So for private pension plan, you can deduct a maximum of 3,200 euros per person. There the kids are not involved. So a couple with 2 kids, they can deduct 2 times 3,200 euros, so a total of 6,400. Possible tax gain here, by deducting 6,400, this couple could save 2,670 euros in taxes. How does this work? Private pension plans, basically, they have different rules they have to follow. For example, you can access the money you're investing into such a plan at earliest at the age of 60 and after a minimum of 10 years. So, for example, if today you are 55 years old, the earliest you can access that money is at age 65. If today you are 40, then the earliest you can access that money will be at age 60. The insurance companies, they are providing 2 different options for those contracts. I know the ones from La Lux, which is our partner. So they have what is called the performance option. That one is an option where your investments will be done in the stock markets through different investment funds, but they also have a security option with a guaranteed savings at the end of the contract. You can contact myself or my team to have more information about this. The same, if you are having those contracts subscribed with Luxembourg insurance company or Luxembourg bank, they will provide you the certificate you need for your tax return. You can download them on their websites. Then home savings plan. What is a home savings plan? Basically, home savings plan, here you can see it a little bit like a savings account. It's a savings account where you are investing money on, that will be blocked for 10 years. And after 10 years, you can access that money, but you have to use it for your main residency. So you have to use it for acquisition, for construction or renovation, or you can also use it for mortgage redemption. But it has to be linked with your main residency. Maximum deductible limit here is 672 euros per family member in the household, and it is doubled. That amount is doubled if one of the parents is between 18 and 40 years old. So in this example, father and mother around a little less than 40, and the 2 kids, this family could deduct a maximum of 5,376 euros in taxes. Tax savings here is 2,243. So basically, your return on invest here, by investing those 5,376 euros, is 2,243 euros a year, which is quite interesting. The same, there are 3 home savings banks here in Luxembourg. There has been Schwäbisch Hall, they closed up now. There's Wüstenrot and BHW, and they will send you a certificate normally in January following the fiscal year, so you can add it to your tax return. What you can also deduct is donations to non-profit organizations, NGOs, but those have to be recognized by the state, and there's a minimum. So basically, in order to deduct donations, the total of all the donations you have done must exceed 120 euros per year. There's also a maximum, which is quite high, so you could deduct the maximum of 1 million euros a year, and it has to be less than 20% of your total income. Donations, the same. If you are doing donations here in Luxembourg, they will send normally automatically tax certificates to you, so you can add those to your tax return. Then we have what is called frais de domesticité. Basically, it can be cleaning expenses for your main residency. So it could be cleaning stuff that you hired on your own at home, or it could be a cleaning company that is invoicing their services. And in the same category, there's also childcare expenses, like for example, nursery, the crèche that you have to pay, and maison relais if your kids are going to Maison Relais during the holidays. Maximum deduction here is 5,400 euros. And by doing so, our family here could save around 2,251 euros in taxes. In some cases, the ceiling can be exceeded depending on the individual situation of the household. On TaxX, you are just adding the total amount what you are paying for those expenses, and the system will automatically detect if you can deduct more or not. The same, the Crèche or Maison Relais, they can provide you with a certificate. Some are doing it automatically, others you have to ask for, but ask them, they have to provide you with this information. And if you hired cleaning person at home, then you will get automatically from CCSS a certificate that you can add to your tax return. Then there's one deduction that is, as the name says, quite extraordinary. It's, for example, non-reimbursed medical expenses. So basically, if you had, I don't know, big operation and neither CNS, neither private healthcare insurance is covering that amount, you could try to deduct it here. It's the same for example, for divorce expenses, if you have to pay a lawyer or funeral expenses. Or also, and that may be interesting for some expats living in Luxembourg, money you are sending to your parents in your home country. The parents have to be dependent on you and on this money, which is sometimes quite hard to prove. So one important information is that you have to provide the most proof that you can to convince tax administration that they will accept this deduction. That's one important information. Another one is that there has to be a certain minimum amount that you must exceed, so you can deduct the amount that is exceeding this minimum. It's quite complicated to calculate this amount. The same here you can do on TaxX. Basically, you are just doing your tax return. The system will determine what is this minimum and will, if you have some expenses, automatically calculate if this is tax deductible or not. Then real estate. So there's been a change for the tax return 2023 compared to the one 2022, and there will be a new change for the tax return 2024, so the one you are filing next year. So basically, for real estate, for your main residency, you can deduct the interest on the mortgage, and what the maximum deduction here depends on. It depends on the year or the years you are living in that house and the number of persons in the household. During a construction period, for example, you're buying a new home that is still under construction, there is no maximum deductible limit. So here it's really starting at the moment you are moving in. So for example, the first 5 years, you can deduct on the 2023 tax return a maximum of 3,000 euros per household member. Next year, it will be 4,000 euros. Then the next 5 years you have lived in that home, it will be 2,250 per household member. Next year, 3,000. And after 10 years in that main residency, it will be 1,500 for the last year tax return. And for this year, it will be 2,000 euros per household member. So our family with 2 kids, they moved in 2020, so they can, on the tax return 2023, deduct a maximum of 12,000 euros and save 5,000 euros in taxes. The year you are buying or you are opening a mortgage, subscribing to a mortgage, at that moment you can also deduct the bank fees, the bank commissions for that credit opening, for that mortgage opening. So normally the bank are invoicing, I don't know, between 500 and 5,000 euros. It really depends on your negotiations. And also the notary fees. However, notary fees, it's not the registration fees for the acquisition itself. So normally in Luxembourg, that one is 7% of the price of the home. That one is not deductible. You will have a second notary invoice. Normally it's mentioned ouverture de crédit, credit opening, and that one will be deductible, and that one normally it's around 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 euros. That one you can add it to the tax return, and that one will be tax deductible. For the mortgage interests, Luxembourgish banks, they are providing you each year with bank statements telling tax administration exactly how much interest you have paid, so you can use those for your tax return. If you are a cross-border worker in France, in Germany, or in Belgium, they don't have the same standardized certificates as we have here in Luxembourg. So best is to ask them, if you're living behind the border, to ask your insurance company or your bank for the right certificates for the Luxembourg tax return. There are so many cross-border workers working here in Luxembourg, they know normally exactly what you need. But don't add entire contracts. They will most probably not be accepted by tax administration, and they won't accept deductions though. So how to file your tax return? You can do it the old way. Basically, the Luxembourg tax return form, it's a 20-page PDF with a lot of fields in it, so you can complete that one manually. It's only available in French and in German, so you also have to speak those languages. And that's basically the idea behind TaxX so that you to get this stuff done in a more easy way. And basically, that's why we founded TaxX.lu in 2018. So the idea was, since the beginning, to allow everyone to complete their tax return in the most easiest way without having to be an expert regarding tax returns. So how does it work? Well, basically, you're just creating an account on TaxX.lu. You can import the PDF of the previous year tax return if you have any, or you're just starting a new one. You can import all your tax certificates. Basically, you can use the app if you have a scanner app, if you have paper certificates, or you're just uploading all the PDFs that you have gotten from your bank, your insurance companies. And the system will automatically detect the type of the document and import automatically the data that is necessary for the tax return. Then you just have to check and complete your data while being guided step by step. If you have any questions, you can contact our customer support. On the bottom right of the website, there's a chat, and there my team will answer all your questions. And at the end, you can download your completed tax return and send it straight to tax authorities. You will also find out how much you will get refunded or how much tax you have to pay. And you can also learn how to save taxes in the future. Regarding the prices on TaxX.lu, we have 3 different packages. We have the standard package for 59 euros. So basically, it includes the completed tax return that you can download on the website. And it also includes a PDF with all the annexes that you have added to your tax return. Of course, already in the standard package, if you have any questions during the process, you can always reach out to our customer support team by chat. Then we have the Plus package for 99 euros. It includes the tax return, of course, but also a manual verification by our team. So basically, you are doing your tax return, and at the end, our team will check everything, if everything is correct. And we can also verify your tax statement. So basically, the paper you are getting back from tax administration. If there's a difference between the result on TaxX.lu and the result from tax administration, we can check where the difference is coming from. And if tax administration has done some mistakes, we can help you to get in touch with them. And at the end, we have the premium package for 149 euros. It's basically the same then for the Plus package, but on top of that, you have included a video call with one of our experts to talk about your tax return. And we can also, if you want this, print you out the tax return and send it to you ready to be filed and sent to tax administration. So at the end of the process, our system will automatically analyze your tax optimization potential. So basically, the system will check what are the maximum deductible limits that you did not hit and how much tax you could save by doing so. Afterwards, you can book a free call with one of our tax optimization experts, and we can go through your personal situation and we can explain you what products could make sense in your personal situation. That's it for this webinar. I hope it was not too technical. If you have any questions, you can reach out to my team under help@taxx.lu, or you can also scan this QR code and book a call with my tax optimization team, and we can go through your situation and help you to save on taxes. Thanks again for giving me this opportunity to present you a little bit more information about the Luxembourg tax return, and I wish you a very nice day. Thank you.